if your logic is right that the 10s are more valuable, then does it price people out and say, well, I can't afford the 10, but I can definitely get in at the 9.
Right.
And
well,
so I'd like to have a card.
Right now, PSA 10s.
Maybe I can crack it.
You maybe can crack it.
Maybe they feel they're lucky.
But right now, PSA 10s are about 2x raw value.
2x.
I think now they're going to be about 2.2 to 2.5x raw value because getting the 10 is going to be a lot harder.
Welcome to Jersey, wild where the cards got clout. Big hits, big flips, that's what we all about. Talking high value, yeah, we cashing in.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Game Plan. Today we're going to talk a lot about the uptick with new collectors, PSA grading, some other Q&As that we've gotten on Instagram, some recent sales, and probably some other accounts that you should follow on social media that I suggest that are great people in the industry. So welcome. And you know, P, we've talked a lot about different topics to talk about on the cast, and one thing that I want to talk to you about is new collectors in the industry, the uptick that we see at card shows, social media, card shops, and just why do we think there's so many new collectors joining the industry?
Yeah, I think you're right. First of all, we have seen a lot. These card show lines have been wrapping around buildings, our table, wrapping around the table. So we've seen a lot. I think, you know what, I know there's many variables. If I had to guess kind of or speculate, in my opinion, I think the first thing has been kind of obvious. It's the money. Unfortunately or unfortunately, whichever side of the fence you're on, that's up to you. But there's a lot of money to be made, and there's a lot of money being made.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so people who are outside looking in are like, hey, I love sports. You know, I'm 40-year-old dude or gal, can't play the sport anymore, but I love it. How do I stay in touch with it? Here's a nice way to get involved. And oh, by the way, I can make some money.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big factor that kind of weighs on people's decision-making process, right? On why they jump into something in general, but I think especially, and how fun it is. So I think those are kind of, you know, the money side of things, well, it's how fun it is.
It's funny you said that it's a lot of, like you said, like 40-year-old guy or gal who can't play anymore. Cause it's funny because like that's how I got into the hobby.
Yeah, but
right?
You're not
like
40.
I'm not 40, 24. But when I played college baseball and I lost college baseball due to injury, I was like, what am I going to do to stay in the sport?
Right.
Like, am I going to
stay in touch?
Yeah. Like, am I going to coach? Am I going to become not a prospect, a scout? Thank you. Like, what am I going to do? And then sports cards kind of fell in my lap. But money, like you said, like money is a big thing, and it's a big driving factor to why new people want to join the hobby. Like people ask me all the time when I post, you know, clips of the podcast on my personal Instagram page. Right. I get DMs, dude, teach me how to do it. Like it sounds like you're making good money. Like teach me how to do it.
Yeah.
So I do think you're right. I think it does have a lot to do with money. Yeah. I do think another piece of it is social media influence and I wouldn't even say and athletes starting to collect.
Oh yeah, we've seen an uptick there too.
Mike Trout posted a video of him opening up his own Bowman box
with his son,
and he hit his own auto. Which, if you don't know that year of Bowman, hitting Trout autos in that are extremely difficult.
Wow,
like very difficult. So he hits that auto, and the internet exploded. Yeah, like not only did somebody hit a Trout auto, Trout hit a Trout auto. Yeah. So I think a lot of people are seeing athletes starting to collect and open boxes. Nestor Cortez, Matt Strom, Mike Trout, like you name it. Yeah. A lot of these guys are opening boxes, and people want to be involved in that. Yeah. Like my favorite player is and always will be Mike Trout. Yeah. Like I grew up in Anaheim, so like he was my guy. And if I was a 10, 12, 13-year-old kid and I saw my idol opening cards, I want to be just like him. I want to open cards too. Yeah. And it'd be even cooler to open cards with Mike Trout and pull a Mike Trout card.
Yeah, that is.
So cool. I think you're right. Financial is a big reason why people are joining the hobby, but also I think it's a lot of seeing other people that you idolize kind of joining the hobby, including those athletes.
Well, one of the athletes that you didn't mention, and as soon as I say it, you'll know, Bobby Witt.
Oh yeah.
You saw how he invited his groomsmen.
I did.
For his
custom
wedding.
cards, like will you be my groomsman?
Yeah. And they were graded.
Yeah.
They were slabbed up. That was pretty dope.
Did you also see what he did? I think he did this with like 8 cards. Okay. He put a card in the back pocket of his pants.
Himself.
Yep. And he played a game and slid, dove, played, and all these cards are now like PSA 3s, but he signed them game used. and I think he did like 6 or 7.
Corbin Carroll did the same thing.
Same thing.
Same thing. He did that. Those cards, I haven't seen any of those. Have you seen those anywhere?
I have. I've seen a couple. They're very cool. Yeah. Like that literally takes game use.
Yes, whole new level.
Because when you pull like my buddy just pulled the Transcendent Jason Dominguez MLB debut, or not MLB, Transcendent Logo Man Jason Dominguez auto.
Okay.
And on the front of the card it says game use memorabilia, and on the back of the card it says this memorabilia is not from any specific game or anything. But now you have Bobby Witt sliding with cards and Corbin Carroll sliding with cards and signing them and inscribing them like that. That's more game used in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah. And so, I mean, all those reasons are great reasons to get involved. Mm-hmm. Topps, I think, or Fanatics, Topps, whoever, has done a great job in like getting them to be more spokespeople. Like, Julio Rodriguez had his own line commercial. That was pretty cool a couple of years ago. I know that Ellie does a lot with them. So it's cool to see not only athletes, because listen, Trout's done everything in the game. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to do this. No. There's no like advantage for him. You take a young kid, maybe, and a young kid, you're like, hey, here's a way to put yourself on the map, get involved with this. So you could see the young generation doing that. But someone like Trout doing it is pretty cool. Yeah. This year, 2025 Topps has brought back a couple autographs that we haven't seen in a while. Yeah. Barry Bonds is signing.
I did see that. Yu Darvish is signing again.
Yu Darvish, kind of cool. Yeah. So you're starting to see some of that older generation get re-engaged. Mm-hmm. I think, was it Manny Ramirez did them? I can't remember. There were a bunch of guys that hadn't signed for a minute that are back in. I just think that's great for the hobby in general.
No, I do too, 100%.
And I think that's why we're seeing this uptick. So it's like the perfect culmination. Mm-hmm. You have fun, make a little money, and a passion.
Absolutely.
Right? I think it's kind of cool.
And speaking on the topic of like new collectors, right?
Yes.
I think one thing, and we're going to try to do this, I think, every episode. Yeah. We're going to come out hopefully in the beginning of the episode where we say just one tip for new collectors. Because a lot of people that watch are either, new collectors, very seasoned collectors, and there's a big mix of the two.
Sure.
So I think having one tip each show for the new collector would be extremely beneficial. So
I agree.
I think my tip of the day would be community. A lot of people join this industry and they kind of just do it alone. They say, okay, I see, this YouTuber talking about card shows or whatever it is. I'm going to go to a card show and go and just do it. My advice would be find a community or join a community or even build your own community of people that you trust and that you enjoy being around and go to shows. Like you, for example, like we met years ago, but you are part of my community that I love to go to shows with you.
Right.
Me going to shows alone, not that fun. But when I have a community around me that I can trust and like bounce ideas off of, I guess.
Yes.
It's way more fun.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun. It's more engaging, right? It's just a fun time. I agree. I think that if you're new to the hobby, there's a lot of different directions to go into, right? You can get pulled into so many different areas. And if you have a partner in crime, so to speak, right? A buddy, it makes it fun. I mean, that's what it was back in the day, right? Back in the day, the reason you can't find any junk wax in any mint conditions because they were in the back of our tires on the bike, right? So you're out with your boys and just having a good time. So I agree. I think that's a great tip. I think getting into the hobby for the right reasons is important too.
And what are those like right reasons? Like,
because you want to. Let's just keep it simple. Like you're enamored with the hobby. You either love the sport, you love the art of collecting, the communications. You learn so much. Tell me you're not a better negotiator today.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, and just life. Forget
cards. Just life in general.
Just life in general. If you have to negotiate something with your fiance, you're a lot better than you were. Maybe
you're still going to lose.
You're still going to lose. But you're better at it.
So it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that. Negotiation and I'm a business major and like we learn a little bit about that, but nothing near actually doing it in person.
Life. Yeah.
I've learned a lot more in my card life, if that's the right way, like card job career than I have in school, just based on the interactions I've made with people. Card shows.
Right.
Let's dive a little bit into PSA. I know we talked a little bit on the last podcast about how they changed their centering from 60-40 to 55-45 or whatever it is. And I think a lot of people are talking about it, but I don't know if a lot of people have fully, I guess, dive, whatever you want to say. What is it? Dived in? I don't know. Nobody's fully immersed themselves.
Yeah, fully immersed. I like that better.
Into PSA and why they've done it. And the answer, in my opinion, is they want to be stricter.
Yeah.
Which I agree. Like if you're going to give out 10s, like don't give it out like candy. Like,
Yeah.
You got to give out some 10s if they're actually 10s.
Yeah.
So that leads me in my next
master.
question, the dime master. Somebody on the podcast said only dimes.
Yeah.
But that leads me to my next question. How does that affect PSA 10s, PSA 9s, and PSA 8s? Because now in the industry, PSA 9s are valued as raw. Like if you ask anybody, PSA 9s are raw. If a card sells for $100 raw and it's a PSA 9, you're going to get offered probably $90 to $100.
Okay.
PSA 8s right now, you're going to get offered probably less than raw. So with the new grading centering, with the PSA centering guidelines, where do we see PSA 10s, PSA 9s, and PSA 8s valued now? Because in my opinion, I think PSA 10s are going to be a lot more valuable. And I think the market's going to get flooded with 9s now.
Okay. So and you would know this, right? This is your bread and butter. So I mean, you're speaking from experience and you live it every day. So I can't challenge that. I will give you a creative food for thought though. I call it like the trickle down effect, right? It's the fact that if 10s are going to gain in value because they're so much harder to obtain, I don't think it just stops there. I don't think it goes from 10 and now there's this flood of 9s. I think what happens now is some of those 9s become 8s. And so let's say if it was a percentage, let's say 20% get 10s, 30% get 9s, and the rest 50% get something else. Okay. If now it goes to 15%, let's say it reduces by 5%. So now it's a lot harder to get a 10. Totally agree, because by their definition, it's harder to get. I don't see us going from 20% 9s to 25% 9s. What I see happening is that 20 will also come down a little bit, 17, 18, there'll be less, and we'll see an uptick in 8s. Now, I don't know if that's true, but you would think the guy, maybe you know this. I've never really known this actually. What determines a 9 from an 8?
Many things.
Okay. What are the most common? Let's say that.
Centering's
big. Okay.
Dimples, deep print lines, stuff like that. That's what would determine.
That would make it go from a 9.
If a card has one dimple on it, but it's perfectly centered, it's probably a 9. But if it's perfectly centered, has a dimple and a scratch, maybe a corner, it's probably an 8 or less.
I see.
So multiple issues.
So whereas 9 might have one issue.
Yep, and an 8 might have like 2, maybe 3.
I see. Okay, well then maybe.
Rarely do you see 7s, so it's probably an 8.
It's going to be interesting, right? I mean, it's. I don't know if other grading companies are going to follow suit. Is Beckett going to change their guidelines after?
I don't know. Well,
right? And does that matter?
The more I've thought about it, there's a podcast called the Common Collector Podcast, and they actually shouted us out because we talked about a couple of podcasts ago how hard it is for me to sell PSA 9s. I sent this big PSA submission in, very hard, and I got a bunch of 9s, and it was very hard for me to sell those 9s. I still haven't sold most of them.
Yeah, I remember.
Because nobody wants 9s.
I see.
Does this new grading centering adjustment draw more of a demand for 9s?
It might. It might. It's hard to say, because if your logic is right that the 10s are more valuable, then does it price people out and say, well, I can't afford the 10, but I can definitely get in at the 9.
Right.
And so I'd like to have a card.
Right now, PSA 10s
maybe I can crack it.
You maybe can crack it.
Maybe they feel they're lucky.
But right now, PSA 10s are about 2x raw value.
2x.
I think now they're going to be about 2.2 to 2.5x raw value, because getting a 10 is going to be a lot harder.
Yeah. I know you do a lot of submissions, and I'm wondering, have you done a submission since they announced it?
I have cards at PSA right now, but I haven't received any since the new grading.
So this next wave of cards you're going to receive will have the new guidelines applied to it.
And I'm a little scared.
And a little scared.
Which, I talked in the last podcast how I took a bunch of cards to the Burbank Card Show, and I traded some out from my PSA submission to Beckett based on centering. I would have loved to do that on that last one.
Yeah.
Like, love to, because I remember a couple of them were a little off-centered. Yeah. So.
So we'll see how that goes.
Let's do a little Q&A.
Yes.
A lot of people are asking, either it's on the YouTube channel, on the Instagram, the Twitter, like just stuff they want answered. So let me pull it out real quick.
Let's see what we got.
There's some good questions here. Let's go with, Let's see. I got some funny ones. Some really funny ones. We won't go down that line, though. What to do if prospecting goes wrong?
I'd love to answer that, but you are the king of prospecting. And so,
appreciate that.
Yeah. So I think that's suited for you.
Yeah. So I did see this question last night, and there's so many different answers you can go with it. My best answer, and this is from Boo Boo's Sports Cards.
Shout out Boo Boo.
Shout out Boo Boo.
Do you?
I've had prospecting go wrong many times. And I can give you some names: Robert Poisson, Bayron Lora, who else? I mean, I can go on and on. Ezekiel Duran, which it's still not over yet, but I shouldn't have invested as much as I did. So, what do you do if prospecting goes wrong?
Yeah. What do you do? Like, what do I do? What did you do with those particular names you just mentioned?
I sold. I took a loss.
Okay. How much of a loss? If you don't mind sharing.
So Poisson, for example, I probably invested about $800 in Poisson.
Okay.
And I remember his stock obviously dropped to like almost the floor, and I sold everything for about $200.
Okay.
So I'm down 600, but what I did is I took that 200 and I reinvested.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you have to do. You
can't
just say, I'm going to keep it forever and hopefully in 10 years he turns out to be a dude. Like, you can't do that.
Not in prospecting.
No, not in prospect, especially for Poisson, who's obviously fallen off, and I don't see him coming back.
Right.
He's just a guy that you need to just sell, take that $200, go reinvest in somebody else, and make maybe a smarter investment based on stats or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I did,
Yeah, I think that's what I would do. Know when to cut your losses. Just cut your losses
and move on. Yeah,
and just kind of chalk it up to experience.
Because I've taken losses not just on prospecting, but on just cards in general. There's so many cards that I don't want to get stuck with because it's not good to get stuck with a card. Like, you just get stuck with it, especially if you're trying to move it.
But in that question, I think, prospecting is high risk, high reward.
Yes.
Those other cards you took a loss, but probably not from 800 to 200, right? You didn't lose 70% of the value, right? So prospecting, that comes with the territory. You guys got to know that jumping in.
You're investing in a 17-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Like
He can't drink, can't get into the club.
No,
and he's supposed to play baseball.
He can't even check himself into a hotel.
Yeah, can't.
You hear the whole holiday story?
Yeah. Oh no, what happened there?
He got promoted. He was either from single A to double A or double A to triple A, and he wasn't of age to get his own hotel room. And apparently, he checked in at like 11 o'clock at night and had to call the coach, wake him up, come down, and buy him a room. So he goes up. Yeah, pretty funny, huh?
Yeah. See, so I mean, the nature of prospecting, it is what it is. What else we got?
Kyle Collects Cards on Instagram asked, thoughts on SGC and Beckett grading? And I know it's not like a question. It's more of just like sharing my thoughts. I love both for different reasons. SGC, I love for vintage, period. And Beckett, I love for thicker stocked cards. Like normal stock cards are like 35 or 55 point. Anything above that, I like Beckett because PSA tends to not grade the thicker cards as well as Beckett does.
I see.
Beckett just has like but the bigger slabs.
The thicker slab to hold it.
For those bigger ones. Yeah. PSA just doesn't like to grade the thicker ones based on my experience.
I have a question for Beckett. The subgrades? Do you have to request that? The subgrades?
Yes.
Or can you just get the grade and no subgrades?
You can do both.
Why would you do one or why would you choose to do one or not the other? Why not just always get the subgrades? Or why do you?
Right.
Because no one else does subgrade, do they?
No.
So PSA doesn't do it. No one else does it.
Just Beckett, yeah.
So that's a differentiator.
Yeah, it's a good question. So a lot of people that I know that are newer into the hobby, they if I'm buying cards from them or whatever, I do notice that a lot of their Beckett slabs don't have the subgrades.
Yeah.
I think that's for two reasons.
Okay.
One, they don't know when they're submitting their cards. They don't know that that's an option. And two, if they do know it's an option, I think it's like $10 or $15 more. I think.
Oh,
it's definitely more money.
It's more money of some dollar amount. Okay, so
it's a mix of not knowing or not wanting to spend that money because they don't see the value in it. Like, if my card is going to get a 9.5, I don't need to know how it got a 9.5.
Okay, but
from the buying aspect of cards, I don't prefer buying cards that don't have the subgrades. Just because they're harder to move.
So again, in the spirit of folks new to the hobby and new folks using Beckett, given that option, you're saying cards become a little bit more liquid, desirable, movable if the subgrades are there.
For sure.
Because it tells
for one reason, in my opinion, that's extremely important to me would be if I see a card that has subgrades that are 9.5, 9.5, 9.5, 9.5, a true gem, or 9.5, 9.5, 10, 10, a true gem plus, I know it has a chance to go to PSA and get crossed to a 10.
So you went through that pretty quick for the new folks, right? This 9.5, 9.5, 10, 10, 9.5, 10, 10, gem plus. Well, so there's I know Black Label.
There's Beckett 10 Black Label, which is all subgrades are 10. The card is perfect.
Perfect.
There's a Beckett 10 non-black label, just a 10, where all the subgrades are 10s, except for one. It's probably a 9.5.
Oh, something. Okay.
And then there's a Beckett 9.5, which is all 9.5s in the subgrades.
Okay.
And maybe like a 10 in 2 of them.
Okay.
That's a Gem Plus.
Gem Plus.
So if I see a Beckett grade or Beckett subgrades there's 4 subgrades: centering, surface, corners, and edges.
Yes.
If all 4 of them are 9.5s or better, I know it has a very strong chance to cross to a PSA 10. Without those subgrades, I mean, I don't know.
How would you know?
You don't know.
You don't know.
Like I bought a Otani Atomic, like Bowman's Best parallel or something, and it was a Beckett 9.5 with no subgrades. I cracked it to send it to PSA, and it was beat. Like beat. And I was like, wow, I can't even believe this got a 9.5
in the first place.
But if I saw the subgrades and I saw it was like a 9.5, 9.5, and corners were like it's 9 or something, I would have never done it.
I see.
So that's one thing. So I'm glad Kyle asked that. SGC, just to go back on that point, I only do vintage with SGC.
Vintage with SGC.
I've heard the same. They're a little cheaper than PSA and Beckett. I think they're like $8 or $12 a card during their certain promos or whatever it is.
Right.
But I just prefer all my stuff in PSA or Beckett just because that's how the industry has kind of honestly taught me how to collect and how to do my business.
Fair. That's good.
This was actually my favorite question from the entire Q&A that we got.
Yeah.
It's from Daner's Deals. If you guys don't follow Dane, good guy in San Diego. Younger kid, but he's a grinder, man. He's really good. So Daners.deals on Instagram. Is it worth it to travel to all the shows around the world, knowing the cost of flights, etc.?
I like how you said world.
I mean, yeah, because there's shows in Germany.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Right?
We need to do one of those, by the way.
We will eventually. But I think that's a great question because I get the ask that all the time. Like, Josh, how can you afford going to this show?
Yeah.
Like, how do you make it work?
How do you make the money work?
How do you make the money work?
Yeah. It costs money.
You have to have a game plan going into the show.
No pun intended.
Like, if you're going to a show just to go, I mean, yeah, you're going to spend money on your trip. Like, that's it.
That's it.
But if you're going to make a financial decision where you want to profit at the end of the show, you need to bring cards that you know you can sell, that you're going to make a profit on. Don't bring the cards that you're into for 800 that comp at 800. No point in bringing that.
Right.
Bring the cards you want to sell that you're going to make money on.
Okay.
Bring enough cash to go buy aggressively that you know you're going to be able to sell those cards later on.
Okay.
And then one thing that actually might be a little off topic, but this kind of goes into it, buying and selling. A lot of people they buy a card and then they're like, man, like, where do I sell this?
Right.
Where do I sell this? And I learned this from a good guy. His name's Daniel Dayawan. Okay. He works up at DMP Sports Cards up in the Bay Area. He saw me doing all these Instagram story sales.
Okay.
And I was posting all these cards for these prices. I was shipping them to 50 different people a day. And it was just a lot of work. And he texted me and he goes, dude, what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean, what am I doing? I'm selling cards.
I'm hustling, I'm grinding.
And he's like, why don't you just have consistent buyers? And I'm like, interesting. What do you mean? And he goes, if you can find somebody who can sell to you, me, Josh, at let's just say 80%. And then you can go find somebody that buys from me at 90%. Josh, you're making 10% every transaction.
Yep.
And obviously you can widen those percentages a little bit as you get bigger and better. But that is something that I've almost not perfected, but I've gotten really good at is finding those consistent buyers and finding those consistent sellers. So for example, when Dane asks, how do you make money at these shows? I go to the show and I'm going to go buy a bunch of cards at a certain percentage. And I already know back home, I have my 90% buyer lined up. So if you can get anything for less than 90%, you're going to make money at the show.
I think one thing to kind of piggyback off that is have a budget and a game plan. When we first started, I remember the first couple of shows that you attended, and we both agreed that the only way to figure this out is to learn. You just got to go. You just got to go and learn. If you have a budget in mind that says, oh, the flight is $200 and the ticket is $40, I'm in it for $250. I got to take these cards and, make 1,000 and just have a plan. It doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it'll allow you to learn from the data, right? You can learn from a show and say, here's what wound up happening.
Yeah.
And please, guys and gals, everybody, bring the cards you're willing to move. I think one of the things that frustrates me, I know, I'm sure it frustrates you, is they bring all these cards and we show we're interested and they'll say, okay, well, 3/4 of those are not available.
They're my PC.
They're my PC.
Like, why the heck are they here?
Right. So you can't bring them to a show, which is for transactions of some sort, right? Yeah. You go to shows for some sort, whether you're buying, trading, selling, it's a transaction type of scenario. So if you're there and bring the stuff that you're willing to part for, because you don't want to make an emotional decision in that moment.
Yeah.
Right. If it's 100%. Your PC and comps are 100 and I offer you 120, that's going to be hard to pass up. But now you've just sold a PC for $20. Right. So don't even tempt yourself. Do it for yourself. Don't even do it for us.
And yeah, you're right. And back to like expenses, like card shows are expensive to go to. You have, and I'll just tell you how it is for me.
Yeah.
The Uber to the airport from my house, the flight, the food at the airport, the Uber after I land to the hotel, the hotel, the card show ticket price, the Uber or whatever it is to the show, depending on how far it is, the food throughout the show. Like there's so many variables, so many expenses. Yeah. And I remember my first show, I looked at my spreadsheet and I remember I made like $2,500 at that show. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. Easiest 25 I've ever made. Right. I was like, oh wait, I have expenses. And I was like, oh, I actually lost $600. Like, but I had fun. Like, you know what I mean? So that
I remember that.
Just try to eat Taco Bell when you're out. Don't go to a 5-star restaurant. Like it's just, it's hard. Now, it's hard to balance.
Do you want to share for our viewers what your first couple of shows, where those were?
Where they were?
Yeah, the first two. The first one was in
Dallas.
Yeah.
My first card show was Dallas.
What's the second one?
Hawaii.
Yeah. So
hold on. Back up.
All I'm saying is, all I'm trying to do is I'm not accusing you. I'm not saying the expenses vary. Expenses vary. Dallas expenses were extremely low because the flight was cheap and I didn't really eat like big and fancy when I was out there. You did
Hotel
good.
was cheap, blah, blah, blah.
You did good.
But then Hawaii, let me give a little backstory.
Yeah, go ahead.
I went out to Hawaii for a card show. I also proposed to my fiance at the time.
Yes.
So it was a trip and a business trip at the same time.
Well, it was a personal trip that you did some business on.
Bingo.
Because you were there for the fiance.
Correct.
And there happened to be a card show going on.
Correct.
So let's just be clear.
But I did use those as expenses,
yes,
right off.
Yes, you did. Yes, I remember. Very cool.
Good question though. Based on
that's a great question.
It's hard though. Like it really is hard to balance the expenses.
You got to try. You know what? I think if we had to do it differently, I think what we could have done, or I think folks can do, is maybe start with local shows.
Yeah.
And take into consideration the expense of the show itself, and kind of say, look, I had to eat. I drove my own car, but I still had gas, right? So I didn't spend the night, so I don't have hotel. And then kind of build yourself up to then traveling and going. You and I don't go further past east of Texas.
Yeah,
right? Really. Right. And so not because we can't, because
no need to.
No need to.
Yeah. Well, it's like the National in Chicago this year. Like we were looking at expenses and like just the flights, hotels and everything. Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And like I want to go.
Right.
But back to Dane's question, like, am I going to make money on that trip if I spend that much money? Like, who knows? Like, I probably not, but who knows?
This is tough. That said, I want to talk a little bit about some results recently.
Oh, yeah.
Sales and kind of, I want you to talk about this Cheeto something, Charizard Cheeto.
Yeah,
so go ahead and talk a little bit about recent sales and let people know kind of what you're seeing there.
So I'm all for people buying what they want. Sure. I'm all for it, right? I buy stupid stuff. I buy cool stuff.
Yeah.
But I also see people buy stuff that just doesn't make sense.
To you.
No, I wouldn't even say that. I just say it doesn't make sense. I'll ask anybody here. Yeah. Doesn't make sense.
I think a pokeyhead might disagree.
I don't even think they will.
Okay.
Anyways,
all right, go ahead.
If you guys didn't see on Golden couple days ago, a Cheeto out of a Cheeto bag shaped like a Charizard sold for $90,000.
Yeah. You got to put a picture if you can.
I will.
Yeah. It's pretty dope.
I don't have words for that, to be honest with you. Like, I just don't like.
How much?
90,000. It was like 87,000.
On Golden, so it's verified.
Oh, it's verified. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it jumped from like 60 grand to 90 grand in the last like 3 minutes. And I'm sitting next to my fiance and I'm like, do you see this? She goes, yeah. Like, what are you on? Like Instacart? Like, what are you looking at? You know? And I was like, no, this is a Cheetos that's going to sell for like 100 grand. So that was crazy. I don't think I need to talk about that anymore.
Yeah, that was just fun. That was just funny. Yeah.
Another cool sale that I actually knew the owner of, or I know the owner of the card. Chourio Topps Chrome Superfractor Auto. PSA 9.
PSA 9.
Sold for, was it 80,000? I think it was 80 grand.
Yeah, somewhere around
80.
I saw it last at like 68. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 80 grand.
80 grand.
And that's a huge sale for the Chourio market.
Yeah.
His market's, I want to say doubled or even tripled in the last 2 months.
I think you're right.
So seeing that sale from my guy, Eric Mandelkern, shout out Kern's Cards. That's a great sale. Yeah. Especially in the off season when hasn't really done a whole lot in spring training, but I think a lot of people are
still early.
Very anticipating and like looking forward to what he's going to do in this next year.
Yeah, it's a little bit of prospecting.
It is a little bit of prospecting.
I mean, we know he had a great rookie year, but he still has to do it.
Yes.
Whatever that
is. And I think he will. And I'm biased because I have a lot of Chourio.
Yeah, a little bit.
Another crazy sale that is, the more I think about it, I was about to say it's mind-blowing, but it's really not.
Okay.
Which one's that? The Prism Wemby, Victor Wembanyama Nebula. One of one, that a choice. PSA 9. Sold for about $900,000.
US?
Yes.
That's like US dollars? Close to $1 million?
Yeah.
Auto?
It was $180K.
Auto?
Non-auto. He doesn't have autos.
There's no auto. Oh yeah, that's right. Prism.
So $180,000 at PSA 9. And granted, and this is very important to say, it sold after he got hurt and ruled out for the season. And I know he didn't break his leg or tear his ACL.
Wait, you mean it closed? It was up for sale during, and then it closed after?
And with that, I think it was like 5 days until it ended.
So wow.
He got sold out for the rest of the season. And then it still ended at 900 and whatever I said. Yeah.
I mean, he's still
180. No, what was it?
880,000? 900,000?
It was like 800,000 or 900,000. It was a big sale.
Wow. Didn't you also have a reason? Because I think it's a great time to be buying Wemby. Between you and I
don't.
Okay, I think it is because hasn't he dipped?
No,
because of the he hasn't.
That's what I'm saying. That's how
I would have assumed.
The sale is. Everybody's assuming he's dipping. You look at the trends, dude. They're staying extremely even, or they're even going up.
Oh, so then everyone's thinking the same way.
Everybody's thinking because he's not out for the rest of his career.
Yeah, no.
He has my college baseball player who I'll talk about later. He had the same thing in college. And he was out for the season. They actually had to go and pull like a rib out and like put a rib somewhere. It was weird. I don't know how they did it, but it was the same like blood clot thing. I think that's just crazy that if you look at any other player that is going to go out for the rest of the season, their cards are going to drop.
Yeah,
Wemby,
you would think so.
Not at all. And you were about to ask about the card that I had.
I was going to say you had a sale of a Wemby.
I did.
Right?
So I had a Bowman Chrome University green auto to 99 PSA 10.
Oh yeah,
the last three comps were like 11,500, 12,000, and like 12,000. Right?
Okay.
And before he got injured, like literally the day before he got injured, I agreed to a sale with this guy. And if he's watching, I appreciate you because you could have backed out of the deal easily. He said, I'll take it, but I'll pay you tomorrow. And I said, that's fine.
That's right.
I said, can you just send me like a $100 deposit to
just to hold it
It'd make
down.
me feel better.
Sure.
And he said the $100. And then obviously the news broke that he was out for the season. And the buyer, he ended up paying. And I thanked him. I said, dude, like you definitely could have backed out of this deal. And like I would have been pissed. But based on the community that we've built and the relationships we've built, it's like that's not the right thing to do.
Right.
If you're on eBay, we see the eBay horror stories.
Yeah, all the time.
Oh, my kid fell off his bike and his elbow hit the decline button. Like you see those all the time, but like when you build these relationships and have the community, that's not going to happen.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
And that's kudos to I think you and I always talk about how important our reputation is. Mm-hmm. And doing things the right way. And karma, I'm a huge believer in karma, right? We take care of people take care of us. Yeah. And it goes in full circle. I think that's amazing that he did that and shout out to him. I think he knows who he is. So
don't need to put him out there.
Yeah, don't even put him out there. But that's awesome. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. So Wemby gets hurt. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna play conspiracy theory for a minute.
Oh, here we go.
How have the Spurs performed since he's been out?
Couldn't tell you.
Okay, they've lost, I think, almost every game.
Not surprised.
They're pretty much in the lottery.
Okay.
What happens if they get the number 1 overall pick and select Cooper Flag?
Oof, man.
Is there any conspiracy theorists out there that say, wait a minute?
Maybe this is on purpose.
Yeah, I don't know. I got a blood clot. I'm out for 6 months.
But that might get us the first pick.
That might get us the first number 1 overall. You go Wemby, Cooper Flag. That's the next. It's the next David Robinson and Tim Duncan dynasty, right?
So it's speaking about Cooper Flag, just because I did see this on the way here today.
Yeah.
Bullpen LA, great card shop in Los Angeles. They just pulled the Cooper Flag Superfractor auto.
The McDonald's.
I think it was the McDonald's. I can't remember what it was, but they just pulled it.
Yeah.
Just a side note, I saw that. But I mean, could you imagine if the injury was somewhat fake? And I'm not saying this.
Not fake. No, we won't say fake.
No. But like if it was planned in a sense to get him out. It's such a stupid
or just
theory.
Overly conservative.
They're
just being extra cautious. Careful. They could have him come back, but they're like, you know what? No point chancing it.
Let's go down.
Let's just wait till 6 months.
Let's go down and maybe get the first pick in the draft. It's definitely not the fact, definitely not what happened, but like that'd be kind of crazy if that came out years later and we look back at this video, we're like, oh my God, we got it right.
Yeah, right?
That'd be sick.
Okay. Then another question.
Okay.
It's been a few weeks since the Luka trade. How have you seen card prices? And so if we saw Wemby get hurt and they stayed or even went up because people are thinking it was on deal, what's happening with Luka cards? You seen anything there?
Yeah. So at the Burbank show a couple weeks ago, we saw a Luka rookie kaboom, 30 grand.
Yeah, that's what it was off. Yep.
And I looked recently and it's still about 28 to 31.
So it hasn't moved.
Well, it's gone up. Sorry.
Oh, it has gone
back up. Since the trade, it went from like a $26,000 card to like a $30,000 card. So it definitely went up. So Luka's market's still very healthy. I think with the Lakers and how successful they've been the last couple of weeks, right? Like
they're a 2 seed now.
Luka, LeBron kind of do their thing has been kind of wild.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think Luka is still not a buy right now at all.
Still too high.
Way too high.
Way too high.
Like best time to buy basketballs in the offseason, in my opinion. Unless, you want to play the expensive game and you want to buy Luka now and hope for a deep playoff run and maybe a championship.
Right,
that's the play.
Then that's
I'm not the biggest basketball guy. I'm a baseball, football guy, mainly baseball. But if I was to look at it in baseball terms, like, am I buying, let's just say, am I buying Ohtani during the season because I know they're going to go to the playoffs and probably win the World Series? The answer is yes.
There you go.
With Luka, am I buying Luka now because I think they're going to go to the playoffs and maybe win a championship? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that makes sense. That would be a strategy if you have confidence in that. It's interesting because when the trade was made, they kept talking about they need a big man. They need a big man. They need a rim protector. And they backed out of a deal where they were going to sell, Connect for Dalton Connect and for a big man that got. And I love Dalton. I love him. Why? Because we selected him. So there isn't this whole, conspiracy theory that all of LA signs every single free agent in every single sport.
I won't talk about
that. Okay, but right. But so he's just fun to watch. Him and Austin Reeves. Yeah. Love seeing those two guys just ball out. And I think they're complementary players to like a Luka and LeBron. It's just interesting. I can't think of a time in recent history where you had that type of caliber backcourt. I've seen someone in the front court and then in the back court. And so you have an amazing big man and then an amazing 1 or 2. I've seen that. But this is your 1 and 2 now.
Right.
And if you want to slide LeBron to the 3, you can. But even if they were at 1, how do you defend that? Because I don't know if you saw this. You may not have seen this because I know you're not you're probably the second or third largest Laker guy, but not the number 1. That being said, they showed how the Lakers performed in February on the offensive defensive side, and they were like number 1 and 2 in every significant category.
Wow.
So I don't know how.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe this experiment will work. But what's interesting more than all the basketball side of things is you haven't seen anything with LeBron cards, right? Those are pretty just stable.
No, they're going big.
Oh, they are?
Well, especially from this Prism that I just released.
Yeah.
Like, he has a sick image. It's like the back of his head. And I can't remember if it's him doing
the
cloud or if it's just like the back of his head with the crowd in front. I can't remember, but it's a very, very cool card.
Oh.
Panini kind of did him dirty and they gave him the ball spot.
Come on.
But it's a sick card. Like the black gold, like out of 8 selling like crazy. The true gold selling like crazy. Like that. Those are very, very big cards. So LeBron's market it's always been healthy. Though.
It's always, right?
Like there hasn't been a time like that I can personally remember where his market kind of dipped.
Yeah, the last 5 years.
Yeah, I really haven't. So his market's still very, very strong.
And basketball is hard. You remember when you and I got into it, basketball it was when we got in, that's all everyone wanted. That's all it was. That's all it was, right? And baseball was pretty stable and football was up and coming. And now 4 or 5 years later, it's kind of reversed itself a little bit where baseball is still the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Football is quickly catching up.
Yeah.
And basketball is just hard to kind of figure out the card market.
It's a whole different community. And that's kind of the word I would use because my community is very heavy in baseball and football.
Yeah.
I'm trying to open into that basketball realm.
Yeah.
But the basketball community it's a very Asian community, right? So like Blez, for example, just opened up a card shop in Japan.
Oh, dope.
Like they specialize in basketball over there.
Of course.
So it's a very Asian community. And you see at these card shows a lot of these big basketball dealers from Taiwan or Japan or China. So it's from what I've seen, I don't see a whole lot of Chinese baseball collectors at card shows. I do see a lot of Chinese basketball collectors. So I think it's just in that market.
So you think it's a community thing? Well, we know, I mean, because if you're right, then shouldn't Ohtani, Sasaki, all these guys drive demand of baseball in Asia?
And I think they have been as of late. As of late, sorry. I think they have been in general.
In general.
But it's not comparable to the basketball market in the Asian market.
Because when you and I have seen some deals on the basketball, there's some big deals being made out there.
You had the Wemby.
You had that deal here when you were in Honey Hole.
Oh,
that you did.
Yeah, dude. Right? Listen to this story.
Yeah, tell them this story.
When I was a breaker at Honey Hole here in San Diego, we pulled the Jalen Green Black Prism Rookie 1/1.
Yes.
And at the time, and I didn't pull it. It was a customer at our shop that pulled it.
Right.
And at the time, we were like, wow, like he's the top rookie in this class. The product came out yesterday.
Yeah.
Like we just hit the base card in the product. So we're like, yeah, maybe like 50 grand. Like you bought a box for $1,000, like 50 extra money. Like, let's go
all day.
So I remember I posted it on my social media and I was like, look what we hit, accepting offers. And within 10 minutes, $100,000 offer on the table. And we're like, no way. Like, there's no way. Within 15 minutes, $150K offer on the table. Like, there's just no way.
Same guy, different people. So
both from China.
That's what I was saying. That's why I brought up the story.
And then the last offer, not the last offer. Well, I guess it was the last offer. Last offer was, we got a call at the shop. It wasn't just a DM. Said, hi, I live in Japan. I saw you guys hit this card. It's on your Instagram. My partner lives in Los Angeles. He will bring a duffel of $200,000 in cash. Will that get the deal done? And I looked at the guy who pulled it. I was like, hey, is that cool with you? And he goes, yeah.
I think
sure.
I'm good with that. I'll be good with that.
Drove up to 200 grand, dude, for that card.
200 cash, large.
Crazy. But that proves my point. It's a very...
And the community, I feel like basketball has put more of it. I mean, all three major sports are putting an emphasis on being worldwide. They're putting, like, the NFL's now in Europe. Baseball already has the NPL and the league out there, right? So and basketball also is especially European, right? The European league has a lot of these guys coming over. So they realized, all the three of them realized they have to go global.
Yeah.
To continue the growth projections that they all have. So it's interesting that basketball, because I can't think of an indicator or something that knocked them. They got knocked off the ledge. They went from being top dog to I think now third. Well, okay. And what happened? I don't understand.
So from what you and I see on a daily basis, it might look like they've dropped from 1 to 3, but I don't think they have. I still think they're the leader.
Really?
Yeah. So like what me and you do, and the people we talk to, and the people we see at shows that come up to our table, they know that we are like the baseball guy. Baseball, football guy.
Yeah.
We don't see a whole lot of the basketball. Not a lot of people come up to me with basketball.
That's right.
Like, know Josh Roth.
Yeah.
Big basketball guy, big football guy. And I think his community, the guys that he kind of deals with, are a lot of the basketball baseball guys.
That's okay.
The basketball, football guys, sorry. So
I mean, there's an opportunity for us to grow.
There definitely is.
Right? Because
and I've been so in-depth with baseball because I played it and I love it. I love watching it. Basketball's never been my thing, but obviously I still have some basketball cards that I move and buy and sell.
Yeah. There's some.
But I agree with you. There is a lot of room to grow for the brand to start going deeper into the basketball market. Yeah,
because it's. I feel like I remember in 2020 and 2019.
Jaws, Zion, RJ
Barrett, those guys, and even Luka then, right? I mean,
year before.
Yeah, 18.
Yeah.
But Luka was still, it was second year Luka at the time, right? So there was a lot of hype and chase around them. And I don't know who's the hype and chase around today. Like, who are the prospects or the rookies to go? I feel like I think a lot of people, this is just my 2 cents, people got burned with the John Zion. Yeah. And I think that turned off a lot of people to this. Like,
it definitely turned me off.
Yeah, there you go, right?
Yeah, I mean, you look at Zion cards, his true RPAs at National Treasures, the 99, 49, whatever. Back in like the Zion, the hype of Zion, a couple $100,000.
And now?
30 grand, which I still think is very high. But you look at it going for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and now it's down to what it is. Yeah. Same with Ja. Ja is starting to build his market back.
Yeah.
But after the whole gun thing and like all that stupid stuff, he kind of killed his market.
Yeah, his
brand, and now it is starting to come back nicely, in my opinion.
Yeah, because he can ball out. There's no, it isn't a basketball. He's not. It's not a question.
He's got to be a little smarter.
He just got to. He has to understand it's a business.
It is
right,
it is.
And if you don't like it, you don't have to like it. But if you want to profit from it,
right,
then you got it. Chicken and the egg, right? You got to do what you got to do. I think it's really interesting that basketball kind of is just played by that. That being said, let's get to the part where we like to talk about spring training.
Yeah.
We're in about what? 2.5, 3 weeks in?
You're around there, yeah.
I know you watch, as you mentioned, big baseball guy.
Yep.
And so you're sitting there. If you're not on Instagram or if you're not on Twitter, you're watching games. I know this, right? Yeah. Is there anyone that you've seen in spring training that makes you say, hey, I need to go invest in this guy?
So, yes. Whenever I'm not in the bathroom or in the shower, I'm watching baseball.
No one wants to know all that.
Yep, I know.
Yeah.
You do.
I don't know that.
So, Phillies,
I've heard of them.
Gabriel Rincones Jr. He's a guy that was in, I think, 21 or 22 draft.
Okay.
And he's hitting the cover off the ball.
What position?
I don't know. I just watch him bat. To be honest with you.
Okay.
I don't care. He hits the ball like no other player in spring training right now. No other prospect in spring training.
Really?
I think it's like 3 or 4 nukes, and they're not just like barely over the fence. Like he's hitting the cover off the ball. And I was looking at his prices 2 nights ago, and his orange first Bowman Auto PSA 10 was doing like $200-$300, and now people have them listed for $1,500. So the reason I bring him up, don't buy him now.
Yeah.
Don't buy him now.
Too late.
Not too late. Just give it a couple weeks. Let the hype kind of fizzle back down. Okay. Make that orange a $400 to $500 card like it should be, and then buy it, and then wait for season, and then get going.
Gotcha.
So Gabriel Rincones Jr., I'm a big fan.
Is he making the roster?
I don't think so, but I think he's a call.
That'll help the card prices come back down.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
Yeah, don't get the FOMO like I almost did. Like I had the orange $1,500 first Bowman Auto in my cart on eBay. I was like, I'll wait a little bit.
Thank God.
Save myself a couple $100.
Yeah.
That's a guy that I really like. Braves, Sean Murphy. He's gonna be out for 4 to 6 weeks.
The catcher, yeah.
So Drake Baldwin's going to be their starting catcher, as we think. We think he's going to be. And his cards have started to tick up a little bit because of Sean Murphy being out, but I still think he's a buy because he's a great player in general.
What product is he in?
He's in some draft. I can't remember. 21 or 22 draft. I can't remember. Who else am I liking right now? Yankees. George Lombard. Another guy that he's in the newer-ish Bowman, 23, I think, 24.
22, 23.
He's a guy that kind of had a lot of hype to begin because he's a Yankee like they all do.
Yep.
And then he died back down, but you look at him in spring right now, he's hitting the cover off the ball. He's playing great defense. He's doing great. So he's a guy that I do like to buy right now. Who else?
I know you were high on someone I'm going to mention, and he's been getting a lot of, we'll say, airtime on ESPN and the likes. Chandler Simpson.
Oh, Chandler Pimpson.
Yeah, this guy. Dude, he's a
Flash.
I call him, they should just nickname him the Flash.
Yeah, I like Pimpson. But.
Yeah, you like, I don't know if they can promote that, but this, does hit, as long as he makes contact, he's on first base.
He's on base.
On the ground. And then just has to be on the ground. Then he steals second.
And then he'll get to third. And then he'll tag on.
He could lead the league in runs and stolen bases.
Is he a bet for Rookie of the Year? I know it's a hot take, but it might be a sneaky play.
It's sneaky. I don't even
know if he's on the books to even bet on him.
Right. I don't even know.
Right. Yeah, he's great. So he played at Georgia Tech.
Not a lot of pop in his bat, though, right?
A little, but not. He doesn't need the pop. He's got the wheels.
He got the wheels.
So he played at Georgia Tech.
And you were high on him last year.
I was. I have a bunch of his stuff.
Yeah.
And his stuff has jumped like crazy.
It has.
I'm still holding though because I believe in him.
Yeah.
So Chandler Simpson.
Yeah, background.
I do like him a lot. Georgia Tech alumni. Broke a couple records at Georgia Tech. Okay. Big fan. Has the tools. Like you said, he doesn't really have the pop.
Right.
But like I said, if you're getting on base, and your singles are almost guaranteed doubles at that point.
That's right.
I mean, having a runner in scoring position at all times is
pretty
good.
Yeah.
And I like him on the Rays too. I think they have a great team with Caminero, obviously, and Curtis Mead. He's a guy that we kind of gave up on, I think, last year.
A little prematurely.
And actually, not even last, probably 2 years ago. We gave up on Curtis Mead pretty early. And he's put on like 30 pounds. He's hit the cover off the ball. So the Rays are looking like a really good team right now. And you throw Simpson into the mix of that, like
he bats leadoff, right?
He should.
If 1 or 2.
He should.
And then if Caminero and those guys, so talk about RBIs.
Dude, Cammy's hit the cover off the ball too.
Right, that's what I've seen.
Mexican League and went off, and now he's playing spring training, 2 home runs yesterday. Like
that was someone that I thought of. That being said, what are your thoughts on think we're almost coming up on time. Predictions.
Everyone loves
talking about rookie. You mentioned rookie sneaky pick versus rookie there. Who do you think AL, NL rookie of the years are?
Let me start it with this. This is not investment advice. This is me being crazy. Not crazy, but crazy optimistic.
Yes.
Rookie of the year, I put 2 in.
Okay.
And I didn't focus on NL, AL. I just put the guys that I like.
Oh, okay.
Dylan Cruz. And who's the other one I put? Dylan Cruz, and I told you on the drive here. Who's the other one? I can't remember. I'll think of it here in a sec. But I did put Dylan Cruz for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
I put Jackson Chourio as MVP.
Yeah, you did. That's the one that stuck with me.
Yep, that's the one that stuck with you. And then I'm gonna throw World Series in here.
Oh, okay.
Winner. Boston Red Sox. They're due. They're not just due for the World Series. They're due for the playoffs, and I think they're looking pretty solid. I mean, with the prospects, Marcelo Meyer, Christian Campbell, Roman Anthony. They just signed Bregman. I mean, they just look good.
They look good.
So I like the Red Sox for World Series.
I like them for the playoffs.
I like Dylan Cruz as Rookie of the Year. I like Jackson Chourio for MVP. Cy Young, Paul Skeens. That's kind of a throw in for me. And Gold Glove, Pete Crow Armstrong.
Oh,
yeah.
There's a PCA, huh?
PCA.
Interesting.
That's my guy. I love PCA.
How about MVP? AL MVP.
Oh.
Everyone, Aaron Judge.
Witt's got to do it, man.
I think you're right.
He's got to do it.
That's who I was going to say.
He is just such a dude.
Stud. And
he gets beaten by Judge every year, which I get. You play in a short porch in New York, and you're freaking Aaron Judge. Like, you know who he is.
Yeah.
But Witt is Witt. Like, okay, can I just say something that people are going to disagree with me on hard? Bobby Witt Jr. is a better player than Aaron Judge. And I can defend myself. Bobby Witt Jr. is a better player than Aaron Judge. How many bags does Aaron Judge steal?
Yeah.
How many defensive runs does Aaron Judge save? Right?
Who can catch a ball?
Very similar.
Because Aaron Judge
dropped it.
Drop the ball.
But all-around player, like, Witt's a way better defender. He's a way better base runner. And I think, honestly, like, as a tool guy, Witt has more tools than Judge.
Yeah. Judge is a stud.
I'm not taking that away from him.
What he has done and what he continues to do is amazing at his size and the sheer strength. It's awesome. And he's a good guy. Like, every time I've seen him speak, I've never felt like, oh, that guy's a piece of work. He's always great. Bobby Witt, if he's in any mid-major market, would already be MVP.
Absolutely.
Mid-major. The fact that he's in Kansas City
hurts a little.
So that's how about NL MVP? I'll tell you who it won't be.
Ohtani.
It won't be Ohtani. It won't be. MLB won't allow it.
Corbin Carroll.
I have Corbin as comeback player of the year.
MVP.
Yeah, MVP. I don't. Yeah.
Guy on Instagram who works with Blez.
Just killing it.
Hobby Hawk.
I love. I love
Corbin Carroll for MVP, and I'm very likely to tail that.
So mine is by 2. Go back to kind of. For some reason, I feel like if someone has a comeback type of year, and it's of magnitude, they get thrown into the MVP. J-Rod.
That's exactly what.
Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah. You know I love J-Rod. No. I think that he's due for a comeback. I think the two of them would make very interesting story. I think Seattle.
The two of who?
J-Rod and Witt.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're both in the same rookie class.
Top scrum,
I think there would be a lot of opportunity to showcase and market them, all while bringing in 2 new cities into the conversation, Seattle and Kansas City, and giving them a little bit more profile, right? I think that's really good. And Corbin, I already thought he was, I think
he's had a bad year.
He just had a bad year.
The second year
sophomore slump.
Yep.
Sophomore slump.
And that's going to happen.
By the way, sophomore slump, I still think he had 95 runs, 25 bombs, 20, but he batted 220.
Same with J-Rod. He had a sophomore slump too.
Yeah, they both did.
And here's another thing too, while we're talking about kind of players that I just thought of. Do you know where I think Vladdy goes? I know we talked last time, and I said the Giants.
Yeah,
and I think you said Seattle.
Yeah.
Do you know where I think he goes?
Boston.
No.
Where?
The Angels. I think he follows in his dad's
footsteps.
like
his dad.
I do. Vladdy Jr. to the Angels.
Do you know Vladdy Sr. had a good experience with the Angels? Was that?
He was there for many, many years.
I know, but does that? I mean, like.
I met him at the Dallas airport. Should I ask?
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
You should have asked him. Be like, yeah.
I think he was the Angels. Yeah. I think so.
See, I think the Red Sox fall a little short, and they go get Vladdy as kind of their after. I like him in Seattle because I just feel like that between him and just the whole J-Rod and that whole Seattle nucleus, too, right? That nucleus could really make an interesting team.
I agree with you.
And it would be really fun to watch them kind of do their thing. And we also don't know what next Japanese phenom is coming over.
True.
Right.
True.
And maybe that goes to Seattle because Seattle was in the running for rookie.
They were.
Right. So maybe they close the deal on this next guy. I think that'd be really interesting for Seattle.
So
is there anyone that knocks off the Dodgers in the National League?
Oh, man.
Better question. Do the Dodgers win 120?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah. They're going to, I mean.
I don't think so.
You think that what, a 119?
No, I think they'll be in the one teens, high ones, one teens. Okay. And the reason being, I think Dave Roberts is going to tinker. They're going to get bored come August.
Okay.
And so he's going to tinker with like, I'm going to have Mookie Betts pitch. Like, just because, let me see if he can do that, right? He's going to have these random things.
I hope he pitches against the Pods, man.
Right? Like, let's put Ohtani behind the plate. He's a big dude, right? I think he's going to just play a little bit.
Okay.
I think, let me ask you this as a pitcher, completely off the cuff here, and I'm sorry, we're taking it too far, but I've always wanted to ask you this. Who created the norm that the major league pitching schedule has to be a 5-man rotation?
Who created the norm?
Like, why do we accept that? Why not make it a 6 or 7-man rotation, right? And save arms, save innings, save health.
Yeah.
And split it. Why is 5? So the Dodgers have the depth to go to a 6-man rotation.
Yeah, of course.
Right. But every pundit talks about the fact that who's the odd man out of the 5-man rotation? Yeah. Why does it have to be an odd man out? Why can't it be even man in?
Yeah, I don't know. And you bring up a good point because I honestly don't know. You heard the statements Marcus Stroman made because the Yankees want to move him to the bullpen because they have so many starters.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm a starter. I'm not going to the bullpen.
Right.
But just, I don't know. To answer your question, like it's always been a 5-man rotation.
Right.
It always has been.
That's all life.
High school, college, all that good stuff. I have no idea.
That's interesting. Because I mean, I don't know what the con is to 6 going to 6. I can think of many pros.
Yeah.
I don't know what the cons are.
I'm not entirely sure. Maybe somebody can comment on the video.
Yeah, guys. Anybody know? We'd love to hear that.
Here's kind of I want to finish with this. Yes, and this was another question we got in the Q&A.
Okay.
What are other accounts to follow? Who are other people to follow in the industry that I respect and that I value their opinions and or just good accounts to follow for people for insight.
Yeah.
One would be Kern's Cards. Eric Mandelkern lives in New York. He has a great collection. He is amazing, in my opinion, the king of the one-of-one market. And he's just a really good guy. He runs a podcast with a couple other guys that I know, Ham Sports Cards, all that good stuff. So Kern's Cards are really good people that I would follow. Another account that a lot of people don't know about, which is very shocking to me, is The Show Locator. Just one big word, The Show Locator. And
all one word.
All one word. And it tells you on Instagram where every show is. They literally have a giant spreadsheet of every show, where it's at, when it's at.
Throughout the country?
Throughout the country.
Oh.
So if you don't know where you're going for a show, just go to The Show Locator. If you guys want to know where I'm going, text me. We're at a show almost every weekend. Just text me.
Yeah.
And then the last account would be one guy that I really respect is Kyle, King of the Cards. People call him King of Cards, but his Instagram is King of the Cards.
Yeah.
Great dude. Great dude. I feel like that's all I got to say about him. You go on his Instagram, you'll learn very fast that he's a great dude.
Yeah, fun guy.
Haven't yet done a deal with him, but hopefully I want to do a big deal with him because he did a big deal with Arena Club at the show.
Okay.
And I was like, damn, I would love to do that deal with him.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, give those accounts a follow. They didn't pay me to say that or anything. I just think they're great dudes. And other than that, I think that wraps it up. So,
all right,
guys, I appreciate you guys listening to another episode of The Game Plan. Like I said, we're going to be at a lot of new shows, a lot of shows upcoming in the next couple weeks. Shoot me a text, shoot me a DM on Instagram. Let's stay in touch. If you guys ever have questions on investing or who to collect, why to collect, or want to get into the hobby for a new collector, feel free to message us. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Jersey Wild, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Jersey Wild, stacking up that cheddar, chasing rare finds, ain't nothing better. From the rookies to the legends, mid-condition prime, step into our world where the cardboard shines.